make sure everything's looking good on this end. I told you they were around 1,000.
I'm about this person's about. I gotta walk in now. Yeah, you want me? I guess. What? This is my first one. Smash
All right.
Oh, there you go. No, my family started love. Stop loving me.
All right. Looks like the match is about to be underway. Frankie is 1-0 in the chess regular season at the moment. We're going against a player from Adairsville High School named Edward. Go ahead and make the challenge link and put it in the chat. Or did y'all add each other as friends? All right, so your home team. Hold on. Your home team, Frankie, wait. So you start as white, not random. Home starts as white game 1, and then away starts as white game 2. All right. So folks that are still practicing in the lab, chess is starting. So if y'all could quiet down a little bit. Is it unrated? Frankie, do you know if it's unrated? They don't want the match to affect their rating. Is it unrated? No, we can cancel it. And yeah, where's cancel? Oh.
They accepted it.
All right. Well, yep. All right. All right. As far as your name goes, you're sticking with it for the season. No, they said it usually causes issues with like stat tracking and all that stuff. If you want to log into your Play VS, you could message them and explain, and maybe they would listen in that case. But I am trying to commentate on this match right now. But I did have a whole conversation with them. All right. This match is starting off pretty aggressively. Both players with some really fast gameplay. So, Commerce are the white pieces for this game. And Adairsville are the black pieces for this game. This is a best of 3. Commerce here, Adairsville there. Fade it and fade it back. All right. The Adairsville player is playing super aggressively. Definitely not quite what we're used to. Fast and loose isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you're able to play really fast, you can put a lot of pressure on your opponent. The Adairsville player already has a pretty significant time lead, although they're using a lot of that time now to think. They're offering a queen trade. Looks like Frankie will accept the queen trade. There's a hanging pawn on b7. You could advance your knight. You could threaten the knight with the pawn. So a few different options here. Thankfully, I was able to mute the microphone prior to sneezing. That would have hurt otherwise.
Oh my god. I got so lucky. You understand how lucky you got right there, right?
Oh, what just happened? Close that tab, whatever. Oh, yeah. Just weird ad pop-up. If I were in Frankie's shoes, I don't want to say what I would do in this exact moment, just because Frankie could overhear me, and I don't want to give him strats. But I would have taken that knight, and I could have just taken the rook entirely. Unless I'm crazy, that rook that's on d2 is unprotected and left hanging, so the knight at b1 could have taken it for free. That rook's in a really weird spot. Trading pieces. So Frankie's doing a lot of trading, but he is down on pawns. So Frankie's down by 2 pawns right now. Even state outside the 2 pawns, and then the knight to bishop swap. The rook threatens the king hides behind the bishop. Ooh, if you move the rook 1 over, you can set up a thing. Again, try not to... It's hard to commentate while also trying not to give my player unwarranted advice. Frankie's definitely got a tough situation to navigate. Already down a minute on clock, but technically speaking, we're in the endgame already, so I don't think we're worried about timing out. It's an interesting setup. By pushing their pawn, they're threatening our knight. Our knight has several safe spots they can retreat. I say several, but it's actually only 2. Yeah. Based on the mouse movement, Frankie sees that if they push the pawn in the c file, okay, they're not doing that. Interesting choice to move the rook all the way to the a file. That is a white bishop, so as long as Frankie keeps their important pieces on black spaces, the bishop can't do too much in terms of threatening. think that's a fine move. Advancing your pawns. Creating that little bit of pressure. They move their rook up 1. Okay, we keep advancing the pawn. They move the rook over there. They're probably trying to make an aggressive play with it. We don't have any pieces ready to cover if he goes into the second row. I know what I do here, but again, cannot say it. I think that's a pretty good play. I probably would have moved. I think they're going to move their rook to b2. I probably would have moved mine to a2 to counter that push. But let's see if that's what they decide to do. Yep. So they decide to push it to a2. Unfortunately, the knight on d2 is trapped to an extent. Yeah, moving the king there is a pretty solid move because then it covers your knight. The rook's not able to threaten anything else at the moment. Okay, that stops the pawn advance. Huh. This is a really, really weird game state. Frankie is offering the trade. They take the trade. I don't think they saw that. They blundered that pawn there. That's very big for us. King is under pressure, but again, as long as he stays on black spaces, he cannot be threatened by the white bishop. If he continues using that bishop to pressure the king, eventually the knight will be able to stake. They're offering a knight for knight trade. Oh, that's a brilliant move. Taking with the knight there, there's nothing they can do about it. Oh, I wish Frankie would have gone with their original move, taking the knight on d2 and moving it to c4. There was no way... No, never mind. I'm crazy, because that's still trading knight for knight. Yeah. So Frankie is just trying not to trade in any capacity. So Frankie needs to move their king. They don't have any way to take the knight. I'd probably move it to a dark space to prevent the bishop doing any shenanigans. But, So what's their play now? Okay, so they were able to... Yeah, that's fantastic for us. Trading a pawn for a bishop. I think that technically puts us in the lead of this game. Oh. That is... So they're using their king to try to... Right. So that's a fantastic protect from the king. I think in this position, like if they want to keep their knight on the right side, that's almost fine. Yeah, because now they've put us into a bad spot. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen Frankie move one of those knights while the other knight was still stuck on the right side. Because now they're going to take the knight on c4. Yep, I like that move as well. Okay. Definitely got to move your knight somewhere. Well, don't move it back there because then the king's just going to take for free. But move it somewhere that you can threaten something. This is going to be a rough game, especially given that Frankie is 2.5 minutes behind on clock. Oh, you could have taken the pawn on c5 for free. You don't have that option available to you anymore. Gotta be really smart with how we use this knight. It's our last real resource. Alright, so I know where I'd move the knight right now. Let's see if Frankie moves it to the same spot. Yep, that's the exact move I'd make here. Forces the king to move. They're going to move it in a way that can still protect their pawn. Yeah. Frankie backing their own king up into the first row, really causing some problems at the moment. Yeah. That's fine. I think you keep trying to advance your right side and leave your king there, because that pawn can't really do anything at the moment. The king can't push forward, so if the knight tries to push forward, then, yeah, knight's probably going to c2 as Frankie's predicted. And then you can move your king in between them and fork the pieces. You take the knight, they get a queen, and you pray. Because you do not have clock for this. Yep, you go and defend the knight. Yeah. Even if Frankie's somehow able to bring this from back, I think they've just been clocked out, unfortunately. This is a really good game. Very, very aggressive from the Addersville player. Frankie's only hope is to try to stalemate in the time they have remaining. And that's going to be game one going to Addersville. A very good game. The Addersville player a lot more aggressive than we expected. There were definitely a few spots there where there were free pieces on the table and you didn't take them. One of the big ones was sometime in the mid-game. They had a rook that was completely unprotected, and your knight could have taken it for free with 0 consequences. And I think their rook was on like e2 and your knight was on c1. You could have moved it and taken that rook completely for free. Instead, you kept dancing around, and I think that could have been a really words are hard. Pivotal. There we go. I think that could have been a really pivotal moment in bringing that game back in your favor. But they definitely play a super aggressive play style, so be aware of that. Marvel Rivals, Smash, Rocket League. Are y'all wrapping it up? Only 30 seconds left. Excellent. That's what I like to hear. All right, we're getting into game 2, where Commerce is now on the black pieces, and Addersville is on the white. This is a best of 3, so Frankie really needs to clutch up if they want to win this match. Yeah, we're black this time. All right. Threatening the check. I think that was a mistake. I don't think they're going to take with the bishop. I think they're going to retreat their bishop. Yeah.
Coach MK, they just got to the second checkpoint. Do we leave or do we stay?
It's not the end of the world. Just try to wrap it up.
Yeah. Hey, you guys don't want to like leave mid-ranked game?
Why are you queuing up a ranked game right before the end of practice?
We had 15 minutes. I was like, oh, we can finish the game in 15 minutes.
Yeah, but you're going against people who are good at this.
Well, it's also coffee.
You're still in coffee?
Yeah, no, I haven't really been given that many ranked games.
I'm just gonna wait outside.
All right.
It's like predicting my move.
They are doing a pretty good job of reading you in the early game. They definitely have you beat in like early game prowess. Their late game was pretty sloppy last game, but unfortunately you weren't able to take advantage of it. Have a good one, y'all.
Okay, 30 more seconds. Hypothetically, if they don't push in the last 30 seconds, we can finish this.
Yeah, you don't want to do that because of the bishop.
Flatlining? No, I can't.
Exile. Who's that mean?
Hope basically stuns me.
Exile. Will you guys report our Jeff after the game?
Oh, this way.
Why is everybody reporting?
Yeah, they've got you in a pretty pickle.
Hulk Hogan. I did not talk to them with that one. Hulk Hogan.
So moving
GG.
moving to C8 would offer a queen trade.
Oh, okay, the game
I
is ended.
think that's relatively fine, but if you're behind, you don't really want to be trading.
No, I did.
Like when you're ahead, you want to be trading like crazy. Can't move there, can't move there. You've got to do something to protect that F7 spot. Otherwise, you're going to get mated. That's a good protect, because if they take with the queen, you can take back with the knight. Gosh, so what are they going to do now? They can't move the queen to F5. They can't take the pawn on G6. I guess now's as good a time as any to unlock their black bishop. If I were them... Oh, okay. So they are just going to move it there. That forces you to either sack the knight or move the king. Let's see what Frankie decides to do.
There's a low, but slight chance I might get banned if people are dumb.
That might be mate. If that queen goes f7, is that mate? I think that's mate. Yeah, if they do that, I think that's mate. I think they're checking it as well to make sure they're not missing anything. Because you don't have any non-king way to take the queen. You don't have any safe spots. Yeah, if they move the queen to f7, I think you're mated here. That's unfortunate. Yes.
So, if people misclick and hitting, on the enemy team, the enemy Jeff was throwing, and we were like, report to Jeff, and so if people somehow misclick and do my Jeff instead, there's a 5% chance I could get executed.
Yeah, dude, they're just flinging pieces. Like,
So it's a best of 2 out of 3?
yeah, so they won because they've already won the 2. So I think this game was you blunder one of your bishops super early in the game if you want to go back. We don't have to do like that stuff. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So here, I didn't really love what you did for the next few moves from here. So like advance it slowly. So they move the knight. They're offering the trade. You take the trade. But then it just doesn't really turn into anything. And you allow them to develop so much of the center. Because then they're going to take. And this bishop being in your c6 area is pretty much the bane of your existence. That singular bishop being there prevents you from developing so many of your pieces in meaningful ways. Yeah. Like, there were lots of points where you could have done something to try to get the bishop out of there. Like, once the bishop's in there, so once the bishop's here, what are even, like, your get rid of the bishop options? You don't have a good spot to move the queen to get them activated. You could have pushed the pawn on c6 up to c5, which would threaten that pawn. They would advance that pawn.
They would take it.
Right, they would take it. But now you have the queen trade. From here, you can start playing around with your knight. Not there. You could move it there or there, because now the pressure of that really deep bishop is completely gone by not having the queen to do a combo play with. Other options. Do we even have another good option from this point? Like, this is the benefit of paying the $80 to chess.com is to see like what the best move would have been here. Maybe it's push the pawn up, push your h-file pawn up to h5, because now they can't advance their queen as easily, because now your rook could take. And they can't advance it to the g-file because then your pawn takes. So they can't advance their queen very easily. And then in the following move, whatever they do, you could push you could push another pawn. You could start unlocking your knight. But yeah, them being able to get that bishop right there is just
So annoying.
right. And so we traded all the way through, but we gave that bishop like a commanding position where we can't develop a piece to take it. Maybe what we do is move the knight and then push the king up. I don't know.
I wanted to put it there.
Yeah, because if you push the king up one, they have to retreat the bishop. Yeah.
I wanted there.
No, like the way they played their early game was just so much more than what you're used to. Yeah. They do that. You can't move the knight is the problem. Like in that spot, there's not much. You could move your queen to g5 in that position. It's not terrible. You're still covering. Like, you made solid trades in the early game. The issue is that the end result of the trades were them having an insanely good position. Yeah. This is a really hard one to play from here. You could technically move your queen to d6. So, like, undo. So move your queen to d6. Oh, my bad. b6, not d6. b6. So you move your queen to b6. They probably do something. They probably still take the queen and move it up to, like, we're just in such a bad spot. We don't actually have a good way to prevent the queen. I think moving that pawn from h6 to h5 does a huge service for at least stalling the queen's advancement. So I think that has to be the move we go with from there. But then what? Because, like, they're... Because they're not just going to take with the queen. They're not going to blunder it. Yeah, maybe that's what they do. And then you, of course, aren't going to just move the knight because then you lose your queen. But what you could do is now move your queen to b6. If they take that trade, you're fine with it because now your king is threatening their bishop. Now their bishop has to run. It runs there and gets a free pawn. You know what? Instead of moving... So we definitely moved that pawn up to h5. But then we could move the queen to a5. Yeah, if we move... No, our queen. So whatever they do next, if we move our queen to a5, then... Because remember, our pawn would be at h5 to prevent the queen's advancement. Because...
It won't.
Yeah. So...
After this,
Right, so move your pawn up.
where will they go?
Where would they go? They probably move their bishop to... No, not the black bishop to g5 would be my guess. You can move your queen to a5. This is like a big brain move. Because now they'll take with their bishop. Their bishop takes your knight. You take back with your king. You take back with your king for sure. They retreat their bishop somewhere. They'll probably take that free pawn. But look what you'll do with your queen. Queen, yep. And now you fork. Now we can't actually take... Right, we can't actually take, but at least now we're able to create pressure. If they... That's not a terrible spot. Now you can use your rook to threaten the bishop. And they have to move the bishop somewhere. Yeah, you could move it there. God, there's a lot of moves that we'd have to go through from here. At the very least, I think this puts you in a slightly better spot. But it like, that singular bishop, holy crap.
I couldn't get by that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever played a game where I have a bishop be that detrimental to me setting up.
I couldn't move anything.
Yeah. That's a good strat to keep in your wheelhouse, too, at some point, is
I
in
think the time killed me because I was actually kind of thinking, but the time just kind of got to me.
in game one, definitely. Yeah. No, this was a hard game. Wait. Can you go back a few moves? Go back. Yeah, because you can't even, if you use your knight to take the bishop there, they take back.
I have to move there. So
Yeah.
they moved there,
Yeah.
so I couldn't take it anyway.
Man. Just what a game.
If I went like right there.
Yeah, if you went there, you would have been safe. But you pinned yourself into the corner. Because, oh no, you wouldn't have been safe. No, you were donezoed. There was no saving it from that point. You needed to have done something different earlier. Go back one more move.
This pawn push.
That pawn push doesn't really matter. It opens up the area. Shoot, man. Honestly, maybe what you do is you take your queen and move it to c8. Or, my bad, e8. C and E look very similar. Yeah. Because now you're offering the trade. You're already in a really bad spot. So offering the trade's not terrible for you. I doubt they take the trade. But even if they continue doing all that garbage, you at least have the queen there who's actionable to help if they take that position. No, you definitely don't move the queen there. No, definitely not.
Well, they did a check.
Right. If they do a check, you just move your... Oh,
I can't
right.
because of this pawn.
Man. We were just ruined on so many levels just from bishop at e6. It's a tough way to lose, but it's how it goes sometimes.
Can't win them all.
Nope. But we're still 1-1,
Okay, you're right.
and then it's 8 weeks. Usually, the way playoff qualification works is if you have a winning record, you almost always get in. So that means 5-3 or better is like, if you get you obviously can get 8-0, but if you get 7-1 or 6-2, you're guaranteed playoffs. 5-3, you're like 99% in playoffs. If you go 4-4 and you have really good tiebreakers, then you have a chance of squeaking into playoffs. So 5-3 is the bare minimum goal for getting into playoffs.
I'm gonna play 6 more games until like for the season.
Yeah, so next week is fall break, so we have a bye week next week. So we're not going to compete in any games next week.
Yeah, so the 6th,
Yep. And then after that,
the 13th.
we'll get back on the horse. All right, we're going to go ahead and end the stream. Don't forget that we will be back on Wednesday for Super